Now let's first identify how does LLM work. I'd like to think about AI in two parts. The first part is prompt engineering, how to ask AI the right question, and the second part is something many people forget, which is creativity and ideas. You need to know what to use AI for. When computers first appeared, people didn't know what to do with them. Some people just practiced typing, others tried spreadsheet for accounting. Over time, real use cases become popular and people learn them at school, at work, and that's how the computers become normal. AI is at the same stage right now. We are interacting with large language models in a way we have never done before. Think about it before 2022. Did you know that what a large language model was? Maybe you worked in AI or machine learning. Maybe you read about them. But even then, we didn't fully imagine everything AI could do today. In this video, we will learn how LLMs works and we are going to understand how to use it for different purposes to multiply our productivity. In a way, AI is like a calculator, like internet, and like computer. It's another tool that helps humanity to do things we couldn't do it before. Let's quickly explain how AI works. Most people use AI every day now, but very few people understand how we got here. We went from computers that only do what we program, to the computers that can answer almost any question and sound like human. That feels mysterious, and let's clear it up. We will do some timeline without heavy math. We will cover machine learning, supervised and unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, deep learning, and finally large language models, which is LLM. The timeline looks neat and linear, but in reality, many of these ideas were developed around the same time. Still, each new method was built on the top of the older one. Now let's look at first the machine learning. So machine learning solves a simple problem. How do we get a computer to do something without explicitly programming every rule? Imagine you run a post office and you want a computer to read addresses on envelopes. One way is to turn the handwriting into numbers that can computer read. You split image into grid, and for each square you measure how dark it is. The computer has a bunch of numbers instead of picture. At first you might try writing rules like, but that breaks quickly. People write different numbers differently. It becomes impossible to write rules for each case. So instead of writing rules, we do something smarter. We show the computer thousands of the examples. We give it, for example, 1,000 handwritten zeros, 1,000 ones, 1,000 twos, and we label them. It knows which one is which. And then the computer learns the pattern by itself. Once we have machine learning, we want to teach our computer. One of the oldest ways to teach computer is supervised learning. Supervised learning is when you train the computer with labeled data. For example, you show the computer many pictures of apples and each labeled as apple. Even if the apples look different, the computer learns what makes an apple. So we take all labeled data and train our model. Then later you show it a brand new image, which is apple. It predicts that this is an apple. Then we have unsupervised learning, which means that unsupervised learning, we don't give the labels. We give the computer a pile of data and ask it to find the patterns on its own. It's similar things together into clusters. For example, in this case, it's going to group the circles together, triangles together, and squares together. So it finds the pattern between these data. This is very useful, especially for musics and TikTok, Instagram recommendations. That's why your Instagram Explore page looks different than your friends. The platform groups content, then show you what matches your interest. And if you want to teach computer very complex tasks, for example, playing the games with us, then here the reinforcement learning come to the place. So here the idea is simple. The computer tries action and it gets reward for good outcomes. This is how AlphaGo was trained. It learned Go by playing a massive number of games, learning which moves lead to the winning, and it often trained by playing against itself, improving step by step until it become world class. Games like GoPro have simple rules. Even if there are many moves, it's possible to learn them. But real life data is messy. So to teach real world complexity, we need deep learning. For example, telling a cat from dog sounds easy, but it's actually hard for computer because there are different types of cats and they can have the different paws and the lightning can differ and there are different types of dogs also. So some dogs even look like a blueberry muffin. Even there's a game in the internet, you need to find out the difference between blue muffin and the dog. Sometimes it's really hard for people as well. So deep learning helps with this. It uses neural networks inspired by the brain. So in this case, the network looks like this. So the data goes through many layers. For example, we have input and each layer detects something. For example, first layer detects the edge, then the next layer detects the shapes, then the next layer detects the complex features. With enough layers, the system becomes powerful at recognizing complex things in images, audios, and more. Now, after this, we have another problem. How do we teach the meaning of language to the computer? So in this case, this is where the large language models comes in. This is the hardest data type because we are teaching the computers human language. Large language models work mainly by predicting the next word. For example, we have a sentence like this. The dog looked at postman and so many people will say barked. So the language models learns patterns like that by training a massive amount of text, books, websites, articles and more. A key trick is self-supervised learning. We don't label everything manually. The model simply reads text and constantly tries to guessing the next word. If it is wrong, it adjusts. If it is right, it reinforces that pattern. It repeats this across an enormous amount of text. So when we give this sentence to LLM, it's going to predict the output and will bring the word with the highest probability. So in our case, barked, you see that is the highest probability. So you might think that this is like a phone keyboard prediction, but all text prediction usually looks at the last word, guesses the next. It does not understand the bigger meaning. But when it comes to the GPT, changed everything. So when you hear the GPT, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So generative means it generates the text. Pre-trained, it learns from huge text data before you use it. And the transformer is the model architecture. Transformers usually something called attention. Attention helps the model understand which words matter most. So it comes from the Google's article that is written, attention is all you need. So for example, if you look at this sentence, the animal didn't cross the street because it was too scared. To find out that what the it refers to, is it referring to the street or the animal? A model, in this case, able to assign the attention or weight to the certain words. The way that attention works to the certain word, then in this case, it can identify that it refers to the animal. The way that the attention works is something called context window. A context window is a total amount of tokens, or you can think of them like a words, the model keeping the view at once. For example, if you ask recite the first law of robotics to the ChatGPT 3, for example, it's going to answer you a robot may not injure a human being. Both your prompt and its answer take up a space in the context window. Models have limits. For example, older models like GPT-3 had a context window of 3048 tokens. If your prompt or conversation becomes very long, something called context window shifting happens. The window shifts to the include newest tokens, which means older part of the conversation gets pushed out. When that happens, the model cannot pay attention to those earlier parts anymore. It may ignore the things you said at the beginning because it is out of the context window. As I said, in the old models like GPT-3, we have the 2048 tokens. And now context windows are expanding as hardware and architecture improves. For example, GPT-5 allows 400,000 tokens rather than 2048. That number will continue to increase, and this makes our models very smart. So let's summarize everything that we have learned today. AI is a broad term for the machines that can be intelligent. Within AI, there is a machine learning, which is learning patterns from data. Within machine learning, there's a deep learning, which uses neural networks to learn patterns from complex, unstructured data like images, text, audio, and speech. And within deep learning, there are large language models, which focus specifically on understanding the patterns and meaning of human language. So that's my brief intro how AI works. With this video, it's going to be easier to understand how we prompt AI in certain ways and why context window can sleep and why we need to keep conversation tight and why we want to put important instruction into the first prompt rather than letting the conversation go on and on. So with this short video, you understand how AI works and how we reach to the large language models.